Hey guys, it's Dwayne Huff with Band Leadership Seminars, Band Leadership Online, going live to address the topic of what causes your peers to choose to follow you or not. I mean, here we are in the throes and in the full swing of marching band season and coming up on another Friday night of Friday Night Football. And so I just wanted to go live and talk about a common question that I get, even though I'm not on the road traveling to schools right now. I got a couple more events coming up, but right now I'm at home and I'm constantly getting messages, not just from band directors or questions, not just from band directors, but also students. And if I had to summarize a lot of the questions into a single question that comes up time and time again, whether it's my online course or my live events, or through a message or through a video like this, is this: why do my peers choose to follow that leader, but they don't want to follow me? Or why aren't my peers following me? Or why am I not effective at getting the results that I'm looking for whenever I try to lead my peers or tell my peers what to do or guide them or direct them? And it comes down to one simple thing, and I'm going to elaborate on it. So if it seems basic and simple as you hear it, hang with me, bear with me, because I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you a story that recently happened to me outside of the marching band space. And guys, forgive the noise that's going on here. I'm in my backyard, what I lovingly refer to as my office, because during the summer, when I'm not on the road and I'm not working, or when I'm working but I'm not on the road, I park right here on this couch, and that's my office, if you will. So why do my peers follow me? Why do they not follow me? And it basically comes down to this, and I've mentioned this in a past video, and if you scroll up or if you're on my YouTube page, you might see this video. And if you're watching this live, please drop your comments and questions below. Even if it's not directly related and it spawns a thought, please leave those questions below, and I'll circle back and get to them and respond to you directly. But it comes down to one simple thing. Your peers follow you for a multitude of reasons. I'm going to talk about it. But ultimately, it comes down to one single factor, and it's how they feel about you. More specifically, it's about the experience they get because of you, right? So things like trust, things like relationship, things like your capabilities, your competence, your musicianship, the example you set in rehearsal and on the field, all weigh in and come into the factor, the attitude that you put out, the energy that you show up with. All that goes into creating how people feel and what they experience from you. And when you graduate and get into the professional world, what you're going to find out is we call that a brand. And you may be very familiar with that if you're on social media and you're trying to create a YouTube channel or you're trying to put yourself out there. You're creating a brand or a brand image. Well, the good thing about being a student leader in a space like band is that you have a ready-made laboratory for you right there to experiment with all the different leadership principles that you have learned from either leadership camp or whether you've watched my videos or whatever the case might be. And it's come to show you, and if you think about it, you've done it the same way. Think about the leaders that you've loved and the leaders that you've followed. Think about the people that whenever they graduated, when they were leaders in your band, and then they graduated and moved on, the ones that you really valued, the ones that you respected, the ones that you followed. How did you feel when they graduated? I'd be willing to imagine that on some level you were pretty bummed out, and to the extreme, maybe even sad and heartbroken that they moved on. And if they created that kind of experience or that kind of emotional connection or relationship or bond of trust with you, you've already seen the power, but you just may have never considered it, but you've already seen the power of how people feel that compels them to either follow you or choose not to. I had a friend of mine recently who every year for our vacation, we would go down to a certain location in Pensacola Beach, Florida, and we get to experience this guy. He's in the service industry, and we get to sit with him and experience him serve and do his craft. And you know, you could label him a server, a waiter, waitress, whatever the case might be. He's a guy, so it's a waiter. Serving in a specific restaurant environment, and you could say he's just one of many. He's another waiter. He's another service provider. He's one of thousands in that particular area. But when you saw him do what he did, and you watched him, and you experienced him, and you saw how he brought you into the process. You could ask him questions, he would answer your questions. Even if you didn't answer questions, he would educate you on everything that you were experiencing. And then you'd say, hey, could we get the formula or the recipe for that? He'd say, sure. He'd write it down for you. And he'd give till his heart was content, because he knew that long term he was creating an experience that you would continue to want to come back to. Think about your favorite restaurant. Think about the favorite places you like to go, or that you like to hang out. The things that, the places that you absolutely love to be a part of, marching band being one of them. What is it that keeps you coming back? And if you think about it and you look at the bigger picture, it's really how it makes you feel. It's the experience you get. But when it's removed, think about it for a second. Whenever you go on break for the summer and you're not at school anymore, or for you, if you absolutely love marching band and when it comes to an end of the season, it's bittersweet because you're not going to get that fulfillment, that enjoyment, and that excitement in that specific way. Or if you were like me when I grew up in band, I absolutely loved jazz band. And so whenever the summer would come around and we couldn't do that, there was a void, there was a gap. But it all came down to a feeling that I missed. Same thing happened with my friend who was in the service industry. He ended up moving to a different opportunity and moving on. We'll still get to see him, but just not in the same capacity that we did. It's removed. And whenever we learned of him moving on, we were happy for him. We enjoyed it. Just like if one of your seniors graduates, you're happy for them, but there's a place in your heart that will miss them. The conversations you had, the fun you had together, the memories that you shared, the excitement that was created, and you feel good for them and you want them to be successful, but you're going to miss them, and you respect it and you value them. And that's the same thing that happens with you. That's the same thing that happens with your peers. You know, it's your responsibility to make sure they're doing the right thing in rehearsals. It's your responsibility to guide them, to lead them, to maybe conduct section rehearsals, to help them to get better on their instruments, not just in marching band, but beyond. And to set that example of attitude and be that person that they look up to. But ultimately, their choice to follow you, yes, they're going to consider if they respect you, if they trust you, if you're good at what you do. You don't have to be the best musician in the band, but you have to be the best musician as you can. You show up with a positive, inspiring attitude. You do what you're asking your peers to do. All of those things combined create an experience, a feeling for your peers. And sometimes they don't even understand it, but they follow you because something inside of them says, I like that person. I trust that person. I respect that person. I want to be a part of that person's world. And then if there's people in your band who are not following you, who are not listening to you, who are not doing what you say, and you feel this weird disconnect, pay attention to that, because you can shore that up and get them back in. And think about the things that make the people who follow you want to follow you. They like you, they know you, they trust you, you've spent time with them, you know them, you've had conversations with them, they know you know them. That creates that bond, that relationship, and that trust. And when that's there, then all the other variables are constant, they follow you. You don't even have to really urge them or guide them or nudge them. You simply go in a direction, you ask them for something, and they do it. Because that feeling, that emotion, that experience is there. And so if you're seeing some of the people in your band that just aren't there yet, there's a great video you can watch online. Put in on YouTube, John Maxwell, 5 Levels of Leadership. And if you haven't seen that before, it'll explain a lot to you. Basically, as leaders, we're on a different level of influence, of trust, of relationship, of leadership. I think I just said that. With everyone in our band. And that first level of leadership is people follow us because they think they have to. And you know, it's the freshmen who come into your band, you know, they think they have to follow you because you're in a position of authority, but pretty quick, what happens? An upperclassman says, don't listen to that guy, don't listen to that gal. And all of a sudden, that level of leadership goes away because they do not have to follow you, and they realize that. The second level comes from an experience. They follow you because they want to. And many times, that simply has to do with them liking you. It's about how they feel. I mean, think about it. If you've ever met a stranger, somebody brand new, in a moment that you met them, for some reason, you just felt connected. You're like, yeah, this is a cool person. We're going to be friends. And then think about a time when you've met something and instantly like, no way we're ever going to be friends. Well, that's that second level of leadership. When people get to that place where they feel like they know you, like you, and trust you, they want to follow you because they choose you. But it comes down to a feeling. So how do you get that feeling? How do you bring a person from level 1, where they think they have to follow you, whether they want to or not, to a person who wants to follow you? Connect with them. Understand that. Create common ground. build relationships, invest time with them outside of band, talking to them. Put band aside, put any agenda you have aside to lead, and just listen. Ask questions, get to know them no matter where it goes. And when you do that, the walls come down. All of a sudden, they're on level 2. They want to follow you because they like you. And then it goes on to level 3, level 4, and level 5. I'll let you look up that video to figure out what that is. But understand that with every person in your section and with every person in your band, you're on a different level of leadership. And the goal is to set the example of attitude, of performance, of dedication, of commitment that they can follow, and make that example so good that when they do not follow it, it convicts them inside to say, you know what, I need to step up my game. So it's not you or anybody else putting pressure on them, it's just them feeling what I call inspirational discontent. In other words, here they are. They see where everybody else is, where you are, and they realize there's a gap, and they self-correct to bring it up to that level, right? So realize that if you can simply get that person who maybe is not following you yet, to have a connection, a bond, a feeling. Now, you might not have a relationship with you. They may not even like you, but if they feel like they can trust you, and if they admire and respect what you're doing for the band, what your commitment level is and what your example is, that brings you up to level 3 and to level 4. Level 3 is they follow you because of what you contributed and what you've done, and they don't have to like you, but they honor and they respect that. And then level 4 is what you did for them specifically. And then as you track through your leadership journey, as John Maxwell would say, you go all the way up to level 5. It's kind of a momentum that you can only get by climbing those levels. But you have to self-identify. Where am I with each person in my section? Where am I with each person in the band? And realize that all variables constant, they still haven't had that connection, that bond, that experience that makes them want to follow your lead because they trust you, they know you, and they like you. And even if they don't like you, but they respect you, and you're setting the proper example, then you're going to hit either level 3 or level 4 with those people. But you got to do it on an individual basis. You got to build connections. You got to build relationship. You got to understand them, and most importantly, understand what it is they're trying to get from their band experience, and do your best job to help them get that or help them to get more of that. And many times, even in the band program, if you can't seem to find out how to make that band experience better for them, start thinking about who they are outside of the band. What do they like? What do they want? What do they experience? What makes them sad? What makes them happy? What do they look forward to? What are their hobbies? What are their passions? And find little subtle ways to give, to add value, to build them up, to make them feel special, heard, and unique. And the more you do that, you're going to find yourself connecting with those people. And all of a sudden, they know you, they like you, they trust you, and they feel compelled. And whenever you leave, whenever you move on, and whenever you graduate, you'll see tears in their eyes. You'll see them having a hard time letting go. And they'll say things like, man, I'm so proud of you, man, but I'm going to miss you, right? And that's when you'll know that your influence and your leadership is pure, and people are following you because of how you made them feel and the overall experience you allowed them and helped them to have in their marching band. Yes, it's important, it's important as leaders to do all the right things, to set the example, to set the attitude, to make sure you're performing properly, to make sure you're behaving in rehearsals and setting that example. That's all important. It's important that you're helping your peers. It's important that you're helping them to get better, to correcting some of the things they're doing. But inside the marching band experience, inside rehearsal and outside, it's all about the person, the human being that you're helping them to be, and that you're validating that who they are is the very best and lifting that up. Because so many people in their lives, in the walls of that school, and even at home, are not doing that. Whenever you contribute that much and give of yourself to helping that person rise to the level they're capable of, that's leadership. And that's what compels people not only to want to follow you, but to want to make sure that your life and your experience is the best it can possibly be, and that your journey in leadership is the best that it can be. So I say all that to say simply this: people basically comes down to, if I'm going to follow you or not, comes down to this: how do I feel about you? What makes me feel certain ways about you? What makes me repelled against you? What makes me attracted to you? It's how I feel when I'm in your presence and what kind of experience you give me. How do I do that? Make a connection, build relationship, make sure that your attitude's proper and it's consistent, that you're showing up, you're being the best you can possibly be, but more important, that you're constantly noticing them, giving to them, and lifting them up. And my friend, your leadership will become so pure that it's undeniable. And you'll never have to ask the question again, how do I get my peers to do what I want them to do? Because what you'll come to find out is they're just following your example, and they feel so convicted and so guilty when they're not following the example that you're setting that there'll be this gap, and they will bridge that gap and close in gaps themselves because they want to step up to the next level to meet you where you are. So I hope that served. If it did, please share this with a friend or somebody that may benefit from it. If you have a question or comment below watching the repeat, somebody send me a message. Okay, I'll get to it in a second. Drop it in the comments below, questions, anything. I'll circle back and get to them. If this served you, please hit the well, not thumbs up button, but the heart, and that'll spread the message a little bit more. And if you have a specific issue, a question, a burning desire, or something that you're trying to figure out and struggle with, or a challenge, drop it in the comments. That's what I'm here for, is to serve you throughout the year, not just marching band season. And remember, until we talk again, which will be very soon, I'm going to try to go live at least once a week, if not twice, right before Friday night, so you have a fresh perspective on how to treat your peers during football games, and also as you prepare for your competitions. Just remember that you can inspire superior performance. You've just got to be willing to understand that leadership is never about you, it's about them. And the more dedicated you are to going out and helping each peer in your band get the experience they want, need, expect, and deserve, your leadership will become powerful, genuine, influential, and before you know it, you'll look back and you'll see the season that beat all seasons, and people connected to you. And whenever you graduate and whenever you move on, they'll be sad that you left. They'll be happy for you, but they'll be sad you left. And that's when you know that you've been effective and true as a leader. Have a great day. Have a great weekend coming up soon. Enjoy this football season while it lasts. I'm looking forward to some cooler weather. That was my favorite part of marching band season. But I'm in South Louisiana, so that is not going to happen anytime soon. And if there's anything I can do to serve you, don't hesitate to reach out, ask questions, and I'll create a video, if nothing else, to help you and serve you. Take care. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.